Welcome back, Truth Seeker. A heads up, I'll be streaming in a little bit about Israel attacking Iran on the day leaving 201 days left in the year, on the kill date for the month, on the 4th anniversary of Netanyahu stepping down from power before returning on Albert Pike's birthday, the man who wrote the letter about 3 world wars. Of course, the day he came back, December 29, 2022, I put out the video that day saying why a major war would start in Israel around the time Yale would turn 322 years old that year. Of course, the war began 2 days before Yale turned 322. And now, while it's still Papa Bush's birthday in the U.S., that infamous member of Yale's Skull and Bones, Order 322, it's a day ahead in Israel. Again, the day leaving 201 days left in the year, these shenanigans start. But I'll be streaming about that in a little bit. I want to talk about the ritual with the Democratic senator in California, not a federal senator, but part of the state Senate of California, Alex Padilla, being forcibly removed by the Department of Homeland Security on Papa Bush's birthday. The Department of Homeland Security came out of September 11, 2001, when Papa Bush's son was the president of the United States. And remember, Papa Bush, he delivered that address to Congress on September 11th, 1990, 11 years to the day, about a new world order, a world freer of terrorism. And look at the ritual here. Again, if you're new here, this Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words is so important. Alex Padilla, out of the 4 base ciphers, the most important one is the dark blue one. Alex Padilla equals 43. Remember, that's the date numerology today. Plane crash equals 43. That was one of the big stories today. Yale, of course, equates to 43 with the most simple cipher. Again, if you're new here, these 4 base ciphers, they're all based on the alphabetic order. The green cipher on the left is the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z. The 26th letter is 26. The next cipher is the alphabetic order with numerology applied to each letter. The next cipher is the reverse alphabetic order. The next cipher is the reverse alphabetic order with numerology applied. You can see how Alex Padilla equals 43 and 65, like Yale equals 43 and 65. Papa Bush, June 12th, the day this happened, is his birthday anniversary. He was the 43rd vice president. He was also the 41st president, as we'll get to. Skull and Bones, known as Order 322, he was a member of. Skull and Bones equals 41. But Skull and Bones is also known as the Brotherhood of Death. And you can see the 83 in Brotherhood of Death. This ritual comes on his 83rd day of his age. And you can see that his birthday is March 22nd, 322, just like how the Georgia Guidestones went up in history on March 22nd, and they came down on George W. Bush's 76th birthday on 7/6. And notice, in the base ciphers, Skull and Bones equates to 202. Today is June 12th, the day leaving 202 days left in the year. 202 days remain on June 12th, Papa Bush's birthday. D.C. is the 202 area code, the federal city. DHS is federal. Papa Bush was the 41st president. He died on November 30th, 11 plus 30, 41. He died 5 years after Paul Walker died in a red Porsche, when Paul Walker was in the movie about Skull and Bones, where he's gifted a red Porsche in the movie by Skull and Bones. That movie came out just before the election of George W. Bush, who then in 2004 ran for re-election against another Skull and Bones member, John Kerry. But notice, George W. Bush's birthday is July 6, 7/6. Skull and Bones, 76. Again, the Georgia Guidestones that were put up on March 22nd in history came down on his 76th birthday on 7/6. But this is the point I'm trying to make, if it hasn't been made clear enough already. Again, it's Papa Bush's birthday. He gave the big clue of what was going to happen 11 years to the day with the World Trade Center, talking about the new world order when his son would be president. In New York, the 11th state, when the World Trade Centers looked like an 11. Again, it all started with Flight AA-11. But they used this guy, Alex Padilla, today, with the Department of Homeland Security manhandling him, to add fuel to the fire of the ongoing protests. Fuel to the fire. Do you know what the last name Padilla means? It means, look at this. It means frying pan, frying, fire, hot, sizzling. Summer's coming. A lot of young people are out of school looking to get sucked into the mischief being instigated by the state because they need that mischief to justify the massive budgets that the government puts out for police and military. But yeah, in light of this being connected to what's going on with the nationwide protests that are being instigated by the numbers, remember, when Papa Bush was leaving office at the end of 92, the same year you had the Rodney King riots, which is drawing comparisons to what's going on in LA, the source of now the nationwide protests. But 92, the year of the Rodney King riots, was the same year NAFTA passed, which caused a lot of people south of the border to lose their way to make a living through agriculture, which drove massive illegal immigration into the United States. And this was predicted by several people who were in office at the time who said NAFTA would be disastrous for Mexican farmers. But just think about it. Just think about how all of this comes together. And of course, it's 33 years since 92. The alumni of Skull and Bones are bonesmen, which equals 33. Again, Rodney King beaten by the LAPD on 3/3, setting off the race war riots. The Insurrection Act was passed in history on March 3rd, 3/3. Again, all these little details we've been covering, but yeah, this is how they mock the world, and they create these rituals on the news that have an effect on the minds of the masses. They instigate the behaviors they want in society, and then they lead these people, just to a planned demise. Like, look at these protesters. Are they actually going to the places that they should actually be protesting at, or are they gathering in streets and on corners that don't make any sense and ends up vandalizing local small businesses that can't recover? So then Walmart and Amazon and other big business comes in and claims the share. It's just all these federally subsidized companies. It's just, yeah, it's too bad that people aren't smart enough to see through the simple code of ABC 1, 2, 3 and how they get played every single day. And by the way, just about the plane thing today that we already covered, they're referring to that plane that crashed as the India Air Dreamliner. And notice in the base ciphers it equals 322, like Skull and Bones order 322 on Papa Bush's birthday. Go back and look at when Tim Russert asked George W. Bush Jr., I guess he's technically not Jr. all the way because Daddy's Herbert Walker and Bush II is Walker without the Herbert. But George Walker Bush got asked, along with John Kerry in 2004 on Meet the Press, what's up with the 322? I can't think of the name of the philosopher right now. Dionysus, something like that. He died in the year 322. Of course, Genesis 3:22 is about the Kabbalistic tree of life, where this whole thing of letters and numbers comes from, Kabbalah. But yeah, on Papa Bush's birthday, who left office as NAFTA was being passed, the bill that put a lot of farmers out of business, that created a lot of legal immigration. And for all the people who love the idea of the ICE raids and the removal of the immigrants, I'd just love to hear from you. Have you seen any of these Trend Aragua or all these horror stories in the news? Have you seen any of that in your community? And by the way, if you've missed all my work on Trend Aragua, again, they're from Venezuela, like the leader of the Jesuits, and they've synced up every last ritual with them in the news with the Superior General, including the supposed killer of Lake and Hope Riley saying he didn't want a trial on the Superior General's birthday. Remember, her name equaled 222, and she was 22 years old and killed on 222, just like Superior General equals 222. The supposed killer just doesn't want a trial on his birthday, coincidentally. Aurora equals 74. The first time headlines broke about Trend Aragua terrorizing Aurora, it was 74 days from the Superior General's birthday. Aurora, the other way, is 88. It was 88 days. Or maybe it was on the Pope's 88th birthday that they made the first arrest. Maybe that's what it was. To go back and double check. It's either that or 88 days after the Superior General's birthday is one of the two. But anyway, the point I'm making is all this crap is news by the numbers. And if people would learn what we're talking about here, they would see through it. By the way, this Alex Padilla, it was his 161st day of being in office. Like Los Angeles equals 161. It was the 161st day of the year they instituted the curfew for Los Angeles. And curfew equals 86, and it's from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., all by the numbers. But yeah, Alex Padilla, the frying pan, fuel for the fire, more news by the numbers, paying tribute to history, the family connected to, the timeline of the Department of Homeland Security, the Bushes. It's just, yeah. And just the things they use Department of Homeland Security for now. They arrested Diddy in Manhattan. Again, Diddy had the song Juicy. It was his record label, Juicy, where Biggie says, blow up like the World Trade, a song that was banned from the radio after 9/11. Then all these years later, he's getting arrested in Manhattan. And wasn't he arrested 119 days after Biggie's birthday, if I remember correctly? Like how the majority of the world writes the 11th of September. Just jokes on jokes on jokes. One nation under total Kabbalistic mind control, not seeing through the obvious. By the way, the Bush family's Rangers dominated Minnesota today 16-3 on the 163rd day of the year. It's the 38th prime number, beating Minnesota 38 land, where George Floyd got it by the numbers on the corner of 38th Street. Fentanyl also equals 38, which they always love to bring up. And so does Prince, who died in Minnesota as well, supposedly from a fentanyl OD. Anyway, I'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. I will be live streaming in a bit, but also wanted to put up a separate video on this Padilla thing, and then I'll be getting into why State of Israel 201 land is bombing Iran, the CIA puppet state, on the day leaving 201 days left in the year, Friday, June 13th, because again, the attack started in Israel at that time, where they're well ahead of us. All right, I'll see you soon, Truth Seeker. Until next time.